Kissed it.
Oh, Doncic! A grown man's jam on the follow.
I am me. They are them. These are my friends, okay?
Stealing my intro.
I stole your intro. I stole it. We are Spitting Sports. Is that what we are? Are we Spitting Sports?
I think so. We'll see.
Sure.
For now, okay? For now. That's who we are.
Jesus. Got my thighs out, dude. Got my
Sky.
ghost thighs out.
Sky's out. Thighs out.
Cover these things, bro. Lord. Glow stick over here.
All right. Pretenders, contenders in the NBA. What you got, H?
So I did a list on my podcast. I'm going to look down at my whiteboard to make sure I have everything. I did 10 teams, okay? And going into it, yeah, 5 of each. And there's statistical components, but really the main thing is your roster construction. This is what I really look at. Like, do you have versatile defenders? Do you have good guard play? That's really essential in the playoffs. But I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the stats that I really look at are defensive rating, offensive efficiency, and can you shoot the 3-ball well, honestly. So my contenders, the list is Milwaukee, Phoenix, the Grizzlies, the Heat, and the Warriors. And then on my pretenders list, I got Utah, Brooklyn, Chicago, Dallas, and then with a huge asterisk because we don't have a big enough sample size is Philly. Because they just don't have a big enough. I can't go off a 3-game sample size against the T-Wolves and 2 games against the Knicks, which I think is fair.
Same thing with the Mavs too. Was this list written before or after we just beat the Warriors 2 out of the last 3 games?
Trying to make him pay, but not happening there. Step back 3.
This was 3-4 days before that, okay? And I would still hold that. I would still hold that same stance just based off the roster construction of that team. You can't. Yeah. And y'all, they're winning. They're winning big games against good teams because they have the best player on the floor
too, which is weird.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, how long is Luka going 1-on-5? And he does it in the playoffs. We saw against the Clippers. That were just a 40-point triple-double, basically.
His playoff numbers are nuts. If this man could play the Clippers every single series, the guy would end his career with 12 rings, 12 Finals MVPs. He'd be breaking all sorts of shit. All of Will's shit would be in contention. Yes. He would break Bill Russell's championship record. Like, all that shit would be on the table if they could play the Clippers every damn round.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Y'all saw his numbers stacked up with LeBron in like his first whatever it was.
I saw that.
Was it 220 games in their career or something like that?
And that's what I'm saying. It's
sense,
like,
bro. Like,
and I said 100 times, it's those record books with Luka being 22. I just turned 23, I believe. Like last week or something. The record book is in trouble with this guy. Like, it's in big trouble. Like, he hasn't had any major injuries other than that ankle injury. He actually suffered at the game I was at against the Heat. Terrible ankle injury. I was actually at that game. We got up by 30. Seth Curry and Tim Hardaway start going ballistic, and they came back, but we ended up winning that game in OT. And, I think that Luka is incredible, but the reason they're on the pretender list for me, and y'all may disagree, this reminds me of the AI 76ers in a sense. I know that's a wild comparison, but you're asking one guy to literally be your offense and tell the other 4 guys just to guard and shoot a wide open shot. I just can't see it working. I can't.
Right. I mean, I agree with that in the sense of thus far, like up until this point, it has been him shouldering too much of the load, but I'm seeing it. It's become. I've seen a little bit of a slight change. Like, Jalen Brunson can go ISO and get you a bucket when Luka's off the floor. And I think 2 days, the first game or the second game at like post All-Star break, they were down 13, and they went on I think at one point it was a 23-1 run.
Yeah, it was a crazy
with Luka
run.
Completely off the floor for the entirety of that like 6-7 minute stretch. So like, the confidence is certainly there, and then Spencer Dinwiddie, of course, kind of being at the forefront of that. That also makes, that adds a dynamic to this team that wasn't there maybe at the time that you made this list before the KP trade went down. So I don't know, man. Like it's to a much lesser extent, given there's not the superstar element to the Mavs acquisition like it is for Philly when they're bringing in a top 3 to 5 player in the world. So that obviously
no doubt
carries more weight. But this Mavs team, to me, I have hope now because of philosophically, like Jason Kidd took them from bottom 3 defense in the league to now top 3 defense in the league in like half a season almost. So they're grinding out good teams and winning. So I don't know what they are yet.
Their transition's been kind of crazy, right? Because you look back just 2 years ago, I think, and they're setting like the all-time record for offensive efficiency in a season. I think that clip was around like 118 points per 100 possessions. And this is, I think, that year. What was it? A year? I think it was 2 years ago, where everybody. I think 7 of the top 12 best offenses in NBA history all came from that season. Like everybody was going off. It was nuts. But Dallas is right out. I think Dallas might have finished 1. I think Brooklyn was on some crazy ass pace last year.
Yeah, they were.
We were right.
Right. But the difference too, though, was they were on the opposite end of that spectrum defensively.
That's what I was getting at. It's wild to see the Mavs. I think I heard today. I listened to a little bit of Tim McMahon and Zach Lowe. Like the Mavs are 16th in offensive efficiency, which like if you were to do a blind resume. 16th in offensive, and Dallas is what? They got to be top 5 on defense. I would never guess that a team led by Luka Doncic, like those are going to be the splits. So it's been kind of crazy to me, and it's not like I know Sands can touch on this too. It's not like they're doing it with a Drew Holiday, a Giannis, a Brook Lopez. Like they don't have a ton of freaky switchable defenders. They're not. Maxey is
Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith are clamping people. Like what's happening?
Maxey's a good defender, right? And Finney-Smith he just got a new contract. He's developed into a legit 3-and-D guy. But if Dorian Finney-Smith is like my wing defender and he's guarding like the Paul Georges and the Kawhis and the LeBrons, he's better than Royce O'Neal. But it kind of gives me the same like okay, I'm gonna get mine. Like he's a little too wiry for me. Like, and don't get me wrong. Those wing stoppers, they don't grow on trees. You can maybe count the guys on one hand who can actually make those dudes
really do it.
Shut
somebody down.
Work, but it's weird that that's why it feels fluky to everyone. Although they have like a 60-game sample size, right? But it's like you're getting everyone to buy in, and it's more of a team defensive oriented scheme. They're kind of like Boston, but with far less
athletes
when you go down the line. Like when you go down the line with Boston, it makes sense that they're a good team defensively because they have Tatum and Brown and Marcus Smart and Derek White and Robert Williams protecting the rim. Like they can all switch. Robert Williams, switching onto
all those guys are 6'8" and are athletes.
And they're athletes. But like Dallas doesn't really have all that work. I think Maxey's an athlete, bro. Like he might be Dallas's best pure athlete.
The best.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, DFS is kind of up there too. But
I also think that like shout out to Jason Kidd because I think it's them adjusting to Luka's pace as well. Like it seems as though they're kind of slowing it up as where Carlisle almost wanted and he's taken better shot selection and actually has sets. When you watch the Mavericks last year, it literally was like 5 out, Luka do everything, but also it is the Dinwiddie trade. Where you kind of saw it in that Warriors game with Luka off the floor.
He surprised me. Yeah.
With Luka off the floor, you saw that's flashes of old Dinwiddie. Like, we see him kind of making plays for everybody, getting the offense flowing, things of that nature. And I thought it was pretty cool to see that with Dinwiddie because I always wanted the best for him because I always thought he was a underrated hooper. And I thought that if they had him, even without Kyrie and Harden, they win that Bucks trade because he tore his ACL or that Bucks series. Sorry,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
he's a baller.
If you told me Dallas was getting Brooklyn Spencer Dinwiddie, I'd be like, damn, like that's a good pickup, man. Like he was a really good player before the Wizards. I saw him interact with someone on Twitter too about this, telling them, or I think it was Instagram. They were like, oh, go figure. Of course, Dinwiddie does this the second he leaves the Wizards, and Spence. Like he's a very bright guy. I don't think he has an agent. I think he represents himself.
Yeah,
he's into
represents
crypto
himself.
and Bitcoin, and like he's a smart cat. And he comments back. He never like claps back at trolls with this like irresponsible, F you guys. I'm gonna do my thing. He hits them back with like this detailed He goes, look, man, at the start of the year, I was 7 months removed from an ACL. Like 7 months removed. He goes, now I'm closer to 14 months. Like, you'd be shocked. You know what I'm saying? At what 7 months can do for an athlete who's trying to feel his body.
Oh, bro, there was a time, within the last 5 years in which we didn't even expect athletes to be 100% and competing again in a 14-month window with ACL.
Yeah. And to that
now
point,
that window has shrunk dramatically.
It has, but there's still the case of, you guys just saw Markelle make his debut. He hadn't played.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, I'm not trying to diminish
I know.
that
I'm
component.
Just saying, like,
it's huge.
Even more impressive. It speaks to, like, Markelle. It took Markelle 14 months to get back on the court to play one game. Like, Spence came back in 7. Now he's at the 14-month mark, and now it's like, okay, maybe you start to see more of the real player of who he – like, we expect these dudes coming off, like, you know, KD ruins the whole thing for everybody because he tears his damn Achilles and comes back and he's still a freakazoid. So we expect, like, oh, that guy's going to be the exact same. That's why everyone was holding their breath for Clay, holding their breath for KD. Like, if they can come back at 85%, I know was the term that always got thrown around. Is KD ever going to be the same? Yada, yada. And KD kind of ruins the whole thing because he's just like, yeah, I'm Kevin Durant. Like, you know who I am. You know what I'm saying? You know who I am. Like, I'm still Kevin Durant. But I just think it's funny, a bunch of couch cushions, you know, a bunch of couch bozos sitting. Why aren't you doing this? Well, I mean, give the guy some time, bro. Like, his body's going to need some time to get right.
Yeah. Just game speed is different, too. You could be 100% running, you know, 5-on-5 in practice. That's not the same as game intensity.
The ramp up, you can't simulate, especially playoff intensity. That's a different ball game.
Oh, gosh.
When you start fighting for seeding this late in the year, I think Sands agrees, like, these aren't playoff games, but, like, you get in some environments where it's like, okay, we're really starting to jostle for, especially with the play-in, and you're trying to do whatever you can to avoid that 7-hole and being a winner, you know, a winner-take-all. Like, the play-in has been awesome for the league because it's got everybody competing because you can't quite tank the same, you know, with the new odds and stuff like that.
Well, that was kind of the whole idea behind it, right? Was to prevent tanking or try to discourage it as much as possible.
Yeah, it's been awesome, but I don't mean to get too far away from contender pretender because that's kind of where we started, but I think I'm cool with your list, man. I think Philly, I need to see more. You know, I'm biased as hell. I think our margin for error has gone up so much with the James Harden trade. So much. Like even those games with the Knicks, like you watched both of them, and the Knicks got up like 16 last game. And we cut it to, I think, 7 or 8 at half, and you were just kind of like, yeah, Philly's going to win. Like, this is cute. Like, New York's hitting some dumb stuff, but, like, Philly's going to pull away because they got the 2 best players on the floor. And that's going to be the case for Philly almost every single night. To your point about
the
someone
2 best,
like Utah, for example, like, if you go down the standings in the West, like, go down the standings. Phoenix is 1, Golden State, Memphis, Utah, Dallas, Denver. Those 6 teams right there. Yeah, if you just go through those 6 teams right there, Utah is never going to have the best player in the series. Like, never. Donovan Mitchell's nice, but they'll never have the best player in the series. And the playoffs are so.
And why? Can you expand like for the viewer a little bit on why that's important to you, or just like based on anecdotal evidence or otherwise?
Like Sands will touch a lot on depth. I think that is important when you have quality depth like the Heat.
Yeah.
But you guys know, and our viewers need to learn that like the playoffs are star driven. Like, you're predominantly going to be playing with your 1-2 the majority of the time. When you get into a tight game, y'all remember the finals between Golden State and Cleveland, the Game 7, the chase down block? Like, stuff gets really tight, bro, and teams go entire 3-4 minute stretches without scoring a bucket. And the only 2 guys that are really going to touch the ball are your stars because every possession matters. Like, if you run a high pick and roll with James Harden, I was watching some old clips today of him with Houston, and what teams started to do in the playoffs was trap him high and make him outlet pass to Capella in the middle of the floor.
Because he can't pass.
He can't pass, he can't dribble, and guys, like, panic with the ball. Like, they tense up. Like, the Danny Greens of the world, they take one dribble, and things, like, all of a sudden get really, really tight.
And so to expand on that point with the star players matter, I think the emphasis in how I talk about depth, because the Heat are so different. Like, to explain depth, right? Okay, so the Sixers have the best 2 players on the court at all times in the East, probably, other than probably the Bucks. Well, the Bucks too. They have the top 1 out of the top 3, 2 out of the top 3 actually in that series, and they have the most star power in the East, in my opinion, other than the Nets. But to expand, if you go down the list with the Heat, you can have the 2 best players right in the series. What about the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th? That honestly may be the Heat. I mean, Tyrese Maxey's good and all that, but you go Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero. So you just go down the line, and that's different. And I think an example of that is shown with the Lakers when we played them in the finals. I know it's everybody's Mickey Mouse ring and all that BS, but I would say with that depth, and we did have injuries to Goran Dragic and Bam in that series. People forget that completely, but we did. But even then, you saw the star power. You see Jimmy Butler drop a 40-point triple-double, and the game comes down to a buzzer beater that's missed by Danny Green. Like, it wasn't in a turnover by Markieff Morris. So the star power does matter because, like Chris said, late in the games, why do we judge the greats off their late-game situations? Because most of the time the bums ain't taking the shots. That's why we go, well, Ray Allen hit that shot in the corner, Steve Kerr, Paxton, because it's not normal. Point. You know, so that's why we judge them off those big shots, because that's when it matters, and that's when they are going to take the shot, and that's just how it is.
And I know, like, Landon wanted me to, we're taking both sides of the coin here, which I think is dope. I don't mean to ride the fence, but, like, late in the game, you're like for Philly, for example, every single action is going to be a Harden Embiid pick and roll, right?
Yeah,
like every single games are tight in the playoff. Every single action is going to be Harden Embiid,
as it should be.
As it should be, because you just don't want, like, do you really want to put Niang in an action? Like, as good of a shooter as he is, you kind of want that to be your last outlet. But, like, stars matter a ton from that perspective. But the inside of the game, the middle of the game, how you start off the first 4 minutes of the second quarter. To Sands' point, that's when your depth matters. For example, like that Game 7 against Toronto, that Philly Game 7. Joel Embiid was a plus 12 or a plus 10.
You're talking about the Kawhi Leonard buzzer beater, right? Yeah.
I'm talking about the Kawhi shot. Joel Embiid, I believe, was a plus 10 in 46 out of 48 minutes. And the 2 minutes that he was off the floor to end the first half, Philly was a minus 12. And we lost by 2.
It's a LeBron. As a LeBron fan, that's what you look at.
2 minutes, was funny. Dog. Like, you had to borrow 2 minutes to keep your head above water.
That's
ever so slightly.
That's what happened.
And those small windows can lose a game. So, like,
in the 2-15,
we have Point
Furkan.
We got Point Furkan coming out, whereas you guys have like a competent, like Gabe Vincent can actually play NBA basketball.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like that's the difference there. So I don't know if Philly's built to survive that type of stuff.
And then so this is what Sands was trying to point out earlier, and I'll just real quick, and I'll let him have the floor again. But to pivot to the Mavs, to why none of us really probably believe that they're true contenders right now is because in those scenarios in the first or second round, whatever, Game 6, Game 7, down the stretch with a minute and change left or last possession, they're sending doubles, sometimes even like a hard double or a weak triple team at Luka.
Yeah, they'll just
the Mavs don't have that elite second option that you trust right now that has proven that they can handle that moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, we would like to think that it's Jalen. We would like to think that maybe it could be Spencer, but
I said forever on my podcast, when I picked the Heat in 5 in the first round, people thought I was biased in the bubble. I said Heat in 5 because, in my opinion, Giannis couldn't shoot. Chris Middleton wasn't a proven playoff performer then, and because he would have those chokes in the playoffs where he did the DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry when he would have like 7 points on 3 of 13 shooting and not do anything. Yeah. And I was like, how long can you let Dante DiVincenzo, just because it's a funny name, shoot all the big shots and rely on that? Like, how long can you rely on Kyle Korver in the corner to hit the shot? Eventually, Braun going to have to take it, or Kyrie's going to have to take it, because you can't rely on those guys, even down the stretch in the fourth quarter, to really take those shots.
Those actions
Tyler Hero's different because he's a bucket getter. But
those actions are cute and like they work for the first 3.5 quarters. But when shit gets tight, it's like, do I really want to die by the hands of Danny Green?
Yeah.
Or do I want to maybe force something up at the rim because I am James Harden or Embiid or Luka or
I wanted to
whatever.
touch on this if y'all brought it up, the Bucks and Heat game. This is my final point on this, dude. I saw different body language. Boy. This is crazy. I literally witnessed it. I saw. They were telling me this game was tight when it was an 8-point game with 2 minutes of it. I said, no, it's never tight.
Something was tickling my brain, dude. I felt it. I felt that thing.
But he did. But he was prodding at him too.
God, it was horrible.
Bro. But I cut it to 8. I was like,
the thing was, I saw a different Max Strus. I saw a different Gabe Vincent. They literally were immune to that ball. They did not want it. They were touching the ball, and it looked like they were scared to touch it.
Thank you.
It was so weird to see. I was like, Max Strus is one of the most confident eighth guys on the bench for the Heat I've ever seen. And this dude was literally scared to touch the basketball.
They might be Max Strus.
And he just hit 6 threes tonight against Kevin Durant.
Yeah. These guys could be dead snipers, and they will catch wide open. And
he was like I want to pass this shit so bad. Somebody come get it.
Where's Jimmy? Yeah, guys freeze up, bro. And that game, that's a playoff atmosphere.
Freezing up. Jimmy with 0 in the last 36 minutes of the game, too. That's crazy.
That will never be done again.